Brewing Network.
You can go to craftbeercrawl.com and vote for your favorite beer here today, the People's Choice, and it enters you into the competition, which is us just drawing names and giving out prizes. We got a lot of Firestone Walker swag to give away. Sitting with me right now is Tyson Arp from Nebraska Brewing Company, and he's the Yeast Whisperer. That's his title there. I saw it on his business card. He's the Yeast Whisperer. And Nebraska Brewing Company, if you haven't heard of them, there's been a lot of chatter about them over the last couple years. They're pretty new, but they're making fantastic beer, doing well at the Great American Beer Festival, and people have been talking about you a lot. So it's good to have you on the West Coast.
Yeah, thanks. It's great to be here. It was interesting to hear Matt talk about the invitation process. I wasn't aware that Matt had ever heard of us or tasted our beer before, but apparently he's been sneaking around drinking some Hop God or something. So we feel really, really honored to be here.
Awesome to have you, and we've got some beer of Tyson's here, so if you come over, we'll actually serve you beer. Chris is going to help you out. He'll bring around a pitcher. And what is it that we're tasting, Tyson?
So this beer got in the program under kind of a working name from way back when we first brewed it up. I think it's called Violet Tendencies, but we renamed it when we released it. It's called Saison Sabdorifa. It's a French Saison, but we added a bunch of hibiscus flowers and a little bit of rose hips. So that it's got that wonderful color from the hibiscus. Hibiscus is really tart and acidic, and so it gives it a tartness without being sour. And I just think for a nice sunny day like today, it's a perfect beer.
So there's no sour bacteria or
No.
yeast or anything in this?
No, it's a totally clean fermentation with Saison yeast.
Got it. But you're right about the hibiscus, that it gives it a tart flavor like that, like you have soured it.
Yeah, that was kind of a surprise. When we first got this, I did this as a collaboration with some a local bloggers that we have that talk about beer in Nebraska and that kind of thing. They wanted to get together with all the breweries in the state and do collaboration beers, and so we were the first one. And I honestly don't know where the idea came from. We're just like, oh, these ingredients sound like fun to work with. So we got hibiscus in. First thing I did was I took one of the dried flowers and put it in my mouth and started chewing. And I like puckered up because it's like Sour Patch Kid kind of sour. Very, very citric acid, lots of vitamin C. So I didn't really think about, I thought that was cool. I thought it worked good. I didn't think about the actual mechanics of how that was going to affect the wort. When we got done mashing and boiling, I checked the pH, and it was like 1 point lower than normal beer. So then I was like, okay, I hope the yeast is up to the job. And it worked out fine. And I think the finished pH is like 3.7.
Okay. What would a normal finished pH be?
Normally 4.2 to 4.3 for our beers.
Okay. It's really good. What form does the hibiscus come in that you put in the beer, and what part of the process do you put it in?
So the hibiscus are dried. We used about 2 pounds per barrel, so we actually had to buy like a bale of flowers, basically, which I didn't know you could do. But when we got it, we were really excited.
It's called the local hippie shop, and they're like, yeah, we'll give you a bale of it.
No, we found an herb vendor in Portland, I think, that had them, and a reasonable price. Wasn't too bad. It's kind of like buying hops, but yeah. So we added them pretty close to the whirlpool just before that.
Okay. And some of the other ingredients that are in the beer, where do we get the color from?
That's from the hibiscus.
Oh, it is from that.
Yeah.
Nice.
I think, I don't know, historically hibiscus has been used as a dye. Okay. So it has this color that just leaches right out of it.
Got it. I remember, speaking of kind of finding weird ingredients, I interviewed Matt Brynildson once about they do the hemp ale. Mm-hmm. He was telling me about having to get hemp seeds. And
yeah.
It's not illegal to get hemp seeds, but it is a bit strange, and it's hard to get them delivered. He said it was always like a drug deal. He had to meet some guy in an alley to get enough hemp seeds.
Yeah, I don't doubt it.
To put in the beer.
We do a lot of pilot brewing on like a 15-gallon system, and sky's the limit there. You dream up all this crazy stuff, and then when people tell you it tastes good, then you got to figure out where to source like a lot more of that to make a big batch. So that's always a challenge.
All right, if anybody has questions about the beer or for Tyson about Nebraska beer in general, feel free. We'll have a microphone up here for you, and just come on up. And we give away prizes if you ask questions too, because we want to get you involved. So what about some of the other beers at Nebraska? What else is pouring over here today?
Today we brought out Hop God, which has been pretty successful for us. It's a Belgian IPA. Oh, yeah. Started out, I don't know, about 3.5 years ago, kind of as a rip-off of Lafrique from Green Flash, which we fell in love with when we were in San Diego the first time. Okay. Turns out I didn't make it. It's not anything like Lafrique, other than it's hoppy and Belgian. So people really like it. It won a World Beer Cup a couple years ago. Nice. So that was really rewarding. That was probably one of our first real big award winners.
So I've had Belgian IPAs before, and the bitter characteristic of hops, to me, don't always go so well with yeast, with Belgian yeast characteristics. So what's the key to making that blend work together?
I think a lot of it comes down to the just the yeast selection. I'm not a real fan of really phenolic, kind of spicy Belgian yeasts. So the one we use is more focused on that kind of fruity ester side, and the hops we use are all American citrusy hops, and it works. It's like these tropical notes that are really really nice.
I'm gonna try it because I really want to like that style of beer.
I know, I hear that a lot. I hear that from a lot of people. What's cool to me about that beer is in Nebraska, like, we're a Busch Light state. Like, that's what 99% of people probably drink: Busch Light, Bud Light, that kind of stuff.
Right.
And Belgian IPA sounds pretty intimidating, but we get people that you wouldn't expect that just fall in love with this beer.
So what is the key to if your customers, if you're in Busch Light territory, how do you guide them into craft beer?
I think we've had craft breweries in the state for over 20 years.
Okay.
So that's helped. I mean, there's groundwork that's been done. One of the breweries has always done like the light lager kind of thing, as like they got to sell beer. I get it. We don't do that. We don't really make anything that's like light or tastes like normal beer. It's all it's all quality craft styles. So we just break people in that way. It's like, and we don't serve any other beer at our pub. It's like you either drink it or drink water, I guess.
Somewhere else, yeah. I did talk to a brewery yesterday as a brew pub, and they do keep Bud Light on tap at their place to guide people in. And he was telling me that some folks will come in to try craft beer, and they say, "Hey, what do you have that's most like Bud Light?" And he's like, "Well, we have Bud Light." That's it. So everything else is not going to be like that, and he just doesn't mince words about it.
Yeah, it's a really tough question for us to answer. We do a lot of beer festivals in Nebraska, and we're still educating so many people. So everybody comes up to your table, and they're just like, "What's your lightest? What's your lightest?" I mean, that's a hard question. My lightest beer might be Hop God. It depends on what I brought out that day. Right. Or do they just want something in low alcohol? I might pour this pink beer, and then they're like, what's in that glass? So.
The worst thing I've seen, though, sometimes you go to a place and I'll hear the servers, if they're not very educated, they'll recommend an IPA to a guy who's never had craft beer, and I just go, you're killing me. You're not going to help this guy get into craft beer by punching him in the face with a hop bomb.
We actually have a brewer in Nebraska who his secret, he told me, was when he's introducing people in craft beers to give them an IPA, and they'll spit it out and make this terrible face, and then whatever you give them after that will taste wonderful.
That's a good
so
point.
It can work. We don't recommend that. We actually do. I do quite a bit of training with our servers to really, because we have so many people coming into our pub that haven't had craft beer before or aren't regular craft beer drinkers. So, I try to guide them through, okay, here's how you spot those people, and here's how you figure out what's appropriate for their taste buds.
Sure. This would be a good one, I think, to introduce people to beer.
Yeah, people have really been liking this beer a lot. It's so easygoing and just, but it's so different from what people think beer should be like.
Questions from the crowd?
Oh, hang on. What was the inspiration for using hibiscus?
Honestly, I talked about this a little bit before. I don't remember. It was a collaboration with two other craft beer lovers, and we were just on had this message thread going on Facebook, and we were just bouncing ideas back and forth. And it was kind of weird. Is there something in the air? Because there's a bunch of breweries that did hibiscus kind of beers all last year, and we were one of them. So we did it again this year. I don't know where that came from. Maybe I heard somebody talk about it. I don't remember.
Thank you.
When home brewers and fans of yours come up, with crazy ingredients, they go, "Oh, you really, you should use hibiscus in a beer." Is it annoying as hell, or is it like a challenge? Do you enjoy it?
No, I don't find that annoying at all. I think every brewer can get stuck in a rut, so it's always good to have somebody poke you and go, "Oh, why don't you try this?" Although currently we have people poking us about making jalapeno beer, and I'm just not into that.
Yeah, no.
I like spicy stuff, and I like beer, but I don't like spicy beer.
I'll be honest, I've had a couple spicy beers that were really good. But again, it's how you do it, right?
I have too, but it's just not my thing.
Yeah, don't want to mess around with it. How long's Nebraska Brewing been around now?
We're coming up on 5 years.
Oh, it is 5 years.
So
God,
we're doing, we're going to rebrew a bunch of our fan favorites for our anniversary week. So that'll be fun.
Beautiful. All right, any other questions for Tyson? You can find the beer if you didn't get it here. They're just behind the front row right there, and they have a couple different beers going.
Yeah, if there's any left, we brought just a little bit of Mélange à Trois as well, which is one of our Reserve Series beers. We very rarely keg this, but we brought a keg out here. It's a Belgian Golden Strong aged in Chardonnay barrels, and it's really nice. Won gold at GABF last year. bronze the year before, so it's been pretty successful. It's a different barrel-aged beer. Not very many people are making a beer like that.
Sounds like a good hangover beer.
It'll
Belgian
give you a
strong.
good hangover.
It'll
yeah.
give you that too, right? I'll need one of those tomorrow, I'm sure of it. You can go to craftbeercrawl.com right now and vote for your favorite beer. It's the People's Choice Award that we're doing here today. Tyson Arp from Nebraska Brewing Company. Thanks, man.
Thanks.
All right, also don't forget you can get food right over here from the local Lions Club, and they're happy to sell you tri-tip or bratwurst or water or soda or anything you need to stay healthy today. And we got some stuff to give away. Vote at craftbeercrawl.com. Coming up next, we're talking to Alpine Brewing Company, so hang in there. And we'll bring beer over for you, too.
Love is all that I need, and I found